Welcome to the Amazingly Alcohol-Free Mother and Daughter podcast. I'm Jaime,
And Jules.
and we're here to share our honest and unfiltered experience of how alcohol has impacted both of our lives, our relationship, and to show you that change is absolutely possible. Our whole lives, my mom, Jules, has said we can do anything because we're girls. And now we're not just saying it, we're actually living it every freaking day. So we believe in progress over perfection, and we are proof that we can do hard and often uncomfortable things. So let's just go ahead and dive in. And I'm so thankful that you guys are listening today. So thank you for being here. So, Jules, my dear mother, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Jules, and I'm married. Been married for about 36 years. I have two children, Jamie and Davy, and two stepsons. And I'm married to my husband, Todd. And we raised all four of our kids in a small town um, in Bonnie Lake. They all graduated from White River High School, which is a very small town. And I was raised around a lot of alcohol. That's kind of the norm. And that's about it. Oh, I'm 69 years old, by the way,
Oh, and how long have you been alcohol free?
since January 1st.
Woohoo! So you're coming on 1 year once the new year starts. That is absolutely amazing. And I'm excited to dive in today into a little bit more about your story. So thank you for the intro. And so I'm Jamie Anderson. I am based in the Seattle, Washington area. I am amazingly alcohol free coaching. So I run a coaching business. I do group coaching for women, also one on one coaching and workshops. And I also have a community called the Confidence Club. And my focus really is helping women live their best lives alcohol free through mindset, movement, and self care. I never ever thought in a million years that I could live a life without alcohol. I grew up with alcohol, as me and Jules will share with you guys, like just part of my culture. And so I truly believe now that it is the key to life and just has made my life so much brighter. So I'm excited to share more with you guys on this podcast. And so I think the thing that we need to share is why were we actually doing this podcast? Jules, do you want to talk about why we're doing this podcast?
Well, I feel like we're doing it because I want to continue to stay alcohol free and to build strong relationships with my children, my grandchildren, and my husband, of course, and myself. I've always been very hard on myself, just shy, kind of shy and insecure. Went to Catholic school and until sixth grade. And in seventh grade, I went to public schools. But I think there's a lot kind of to unravel, I think, here about why I'm doing the podcast. Never in a million years, as Jamie would say, thought I would be doing this with my daughter. But I'm excited to get started and see what happens.
Yeah. And think of all like I think one of the things too is like I don't know if there's any other mother-daughter podcasts out there about like sobriety, right? And so I think my goal is also it's to help us like kind of, continue down our own journeys and share what we've been going through and what's worked for us and what hasn't worked for us, but also to help impact other families, right? Because like I think this is very common. Like
Yes,
alcohol and addiction runs in families. And so we're want to share our experience and hopefully help other women that feel the same. What do you think about that?
I think that's the perfect way to get started with a podcast.
Hey, well, I'm excited. Why don't we just go ahead and kick it off, Jules? Do you want to just spend a few minutes kind of talking about your story? And then in future episodes too, we'll both go in and deeper dive, right? For like my story versus your story and start bringing it all together full circle. But I'd love to hear a little bit more. And I'm sure our listeners would too.
Okay. As I said, I went to Catholic school through sixth grade, and I got into seventh grade, and I was awkward and just didn't really fit in with any particular group. Then, right during that year, or my mom had decided to tell my sister and I that my sister had a different father than I did, and I was completely in shock. I I thought I've been raised Catholic my whole life, strict Catholic. My mom always we always went to church. We went to church before school, and at that moment, I thought, how can you be telling me all these things, and my parents were drinkers. You could tell me all these things about what I'm doing wrong and struggling with and not and all this time you're a hypocrite. I love my mom to pieces, but it just changed my thinking at that moment. I'll never forget that moment.
Mhm.
I decided I was gonna do anything possible to fit in, and I just dived very deeply, I guess you say to the darker side of 7th to 8th grade, and I just decided I was gonna start drinking with my friends and pretty much do anything and everything to pay my mom back. And now, of course, I feel that's very differently. I look at it very differently. She was a wonderful woman, and I just resented her. I resented her, and I decided, um, oh, that was the same year that I only wore clothes from secondhand stores, and it was everything, and mortified my parents. It was the type of like silk shirts with fancy buttons that you'd see on elderly ladies, and started hitchhiking, and
You're a
um,
rebel.
that worked at a young age. And I didn't know how to process. I think I really didn't know how to process that information. I was in such shock. Um, I didn't say anything, but when my mom told us that, I don't think that my mom really knew how to to talk to us about it either. And my sister was just angelic about it. She said, I always it doesn't matter to me. I have my dad's my dad, and that's it. But then there was me. I just off on the wild child. Uh, so that kind of my parents drank a lot, but it was normal for back then. And they had a big group of friends through my dad's work. They all drank, and the party just kind of shifted around. But for the most part, it was at my parents' house. And then we were just there. But one of my youngest memories is sitting. My parents went out, came, they came back, and they started to fight because they were both drunk. And my sister and I were sitting on the stairs screaming to stop fighting and stop drinking. And we were pretty young. And in that house, we had a phone upstairs. And so my older sister, called my grandma and says, call here, because mom and dad are fighting. And I guess this podcast let me gave me a lot of memories that popped up like that. But at the same time, I wanted to be like her. My mom, my dad, admired him so much, and my mom was beautiful. She was a model. She was a dance instructor. I just wanted to be like her. And then with my sister, when I went to high school, everybody knew about my sister. She was a 4-point student. And it was like, "Oh, we're so great to have you. Another 4-point student coming up, and the same family." And I was mortified. I, I, again, did everything possible to be the rebel, and call my sister like Susie School of Spirit. I was never going to be like that, and it just started a lot of doing things that mortified my parents, basically.
And I love Grandma Mary so much. She was just like a little spitfire. Is that the right word for it? She was
Oh
always
yeah.
just like the life of the party. She had like no filter, but just so like sweet and loving. And yeah. But I also remember with Grandpa too. Grandpa was amazing. Grandpa Ed. So my son Edward's named after Grandpa. And he would always like cook us so much food. And he had like filled us individual gardens when we were a kid. But I remember as a kid just always knowing they were alcoholics. Like, it was something that you guys would talk about, and I, like, was aware of it, like, I knew that there was, like, alcohol around and stuff, but it was something I always knew, but, like, I don't know if I fully understood that, and so do you remember anything like that? Like, I always just knew in the back of my mind that was, like, a thing, like, grandpa always had, like, boxes of, like, vodka and things like that, but do you so I'm just, like, I'm just remembering that, like, that was also just a part of what I knew, but, like, I didn't know too much about that, so I wonder if that's also part of just, like, us growing up in, like, drinking culture, right?
Oh, definitely. And with Grandpa Ed,
Yeah.
he held things together more. And I think when mom started drinking heavily after my older sister I was talking
Yeah.
about, Susie, passed away of leukemia. They always drank, but that's when it spiraled for my mom and my dad. I mean, I can't even imagine losing a child. A lot went on before she passed away, but after that, alcohol was just. My mom always had her martini, and my
Yeah.
dad always had his after he got off work. And I worked at a bakery in town, and I remember so many times it was a small town, and my mom would drink and then get drunk and call all around. people, in the middle of the night and stuff. And then when I'd get woken up at the bakery at the 5 a.m. in the morning to get the soups going and salads and coffee for all the local politicians and people in the small town. And almost at least twice a week, someone would come in and say, "Oh, your mom called me about midnight last night." And I would be so, I would have no. And she was telling me she was really sick. And I thought, I can never live this down.
Yeah.
I was again mortified and I thought, I will never be like her. And it happened a lot because my dad was fairly well known, and so was my mom. She also had a job at the local dime store, and she was a tiny little thing, but had a huge personality. And when she walked in the room, you pretty much knew that she she was a little stunner, and she was a
Yeah.
ball of fire for sure. I feel like the more I became like my mom and recognized it, the worse I felt about myself.
Yeah.
A lot of mixed feelings because I wanted to be perfect just like her. I wanted to be beautiful just like her. At the same time, she was just spiraling out of control. Oh, it was bad, really bad.
Yeah.
And that's how we grew up, but I didn't really think it was that abnormal.
Yeah.
And I just thought this is just the way it is. It's families, they drink and, people get into
Yeah.
fights
Yeah.
and, things are said that you can't really take back. And then I started doing all the things my mom used to do as
Mhm.
the more I started drinking. I was 18 when I was pregnant with my first child,
Mhm.
Jamie's brother. And I just wanted to work, and my dad wanted me to go to college, and all I wanted to do was get a union job with benefits. That's all I would say over and over again. And my dad had kept, "Okay, at least go to business school," but that just wasn't me. So, I was so squeaky clean when I met Jamie's dad in high school and didn't, I went to stop drinking and did all those young teenager things. When I was pregnant, didn't didn't drink or anything like that at all. And I was the person who was always the reasonable one, and everybody else around me drank. And I kind of remember it's just kind of funny how my mind is going here, but I remember after my mom quit drinking, she did for 25 years. I can remember all the people, the parties and everything were still going on with her and my dad. And the drunker people their good friends got, the more they'd say, "Oh, remember Mary when she got drunk and did this, or when she got drunk and did that." And I thought, boy, that is not giving her a chance at all. But I was pretty defensive of my mom. But anyway, so
So, a question for you. So, as far as like, when did you start drinking? So, it sounds like you were really like in high school. Did you not drink a lot, or like when for you did you like start drinking? And like, I know sometimes you kind of leaned into pills. So, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Like, how did that start for you? Because it sounds like you were trying to be like your mom. Drinking grew up, or drinking was just around everywhere, just like me too, right? Because we pass it on generation, and we're stopping that right now, Mama Jules. So kind of when did you start
I was
drinking?
14 and started. I
Okay.
was 14 when I started drinking, and I was
About the same as me, 'cause 7th grade. Was your 7th
Mhm.
grade? Yeah,
That
that's
sounds
crazy. Okay.
before that, I was 11. I was always the chubby kid. There's 12 of us cousins, and everybody, my girl cousins were cheerleaders, and they were thin. And I was the only one that was I'd say they called it chubby back then. Way, and so I could tell. I always knew my mom was embarrassed, even though she acted like she wasn't. My mom was kind of embarrassed about that, and my aunt would say, "You need to do something with her, not wait." And I'd be started sneak eating and all that, and getting caught doing that kind of stuff. But then, um, my mom took me to the doctor when I was 11, and he put me on hardcore diet pills. Back then, I think they were called like Black Beauties, and what's the strongest hardcore diet pills that there were on the market back then. And I lost 50 pounds from school years from let's see, 6th grade to 7th grade, and lost 50 pounds, and I was almost unrecognizable. And then I couldn't sleep because I was on these amphetamines, um, all the time. I couldn't sleep, so they put me on, um, anxiety medication so I could sleep. And it kind of back then, that was the doctor that delivered my mom's kids. And she never would question a doctor, or why would Why would she? I mean, this is wonderful. I lost all this weight. I was going to 7th grade. Everything was perfect. I was like the other girls.
Mhm.
She didn't have to explain and, about, "Oh, Julie, she's just always been the overweight one," and, so that's with the diet pills, it even made me drink more, I think, and like I said, I don't blame my mom at all. She's just doing the best with what she knew how to do with what she knew, and you trusted your doctor, and that was it. But that led me into drinking early and more, and I did that was from junior high to high school, pretty much the whole entire time, and when I got pregnant with my son, I stopped all of that, and I didn't drink again until I started working at a uh, meat it was a chicken actually, a chicken factory, and a lot of people there were drinkers. That's but, I wasn't even old enough to drink legally. The people there, we'd go to their houses, different houses, and I'd start drinking with them. And so it started, then it went into my 20s, my early 20s, and I really started drinking a lot when I was maybe 28-ish. And my sister and I would go out and we'd drink all the time. Or we'd both not go out so much, we would be at each other's house.
Mhm.
And I remember looking back on it, I remember my sister-in-law had said, "You had such a big impact on me when I was going out with your brother and I wanted to be just like you." And I remember her saying to my sister and myself, we always thought she's just so funny. She said, "I didn't know you could drink beer out of a coffee cup." And the reason she said that, looking back on it now, is because we used to drink with a beer out of coffee cup when we were driving when we had kids in the car.
Oh my goodness.
Like outrageous. And now
Well, it
I
was back in the '80s, right? So, like, '70s, '80s? Yeah.
Yes, and now I know why she said that.
Yeah.
When she said that, I don't know why she would think that's so unusual, but now it's because, she was see, last year, I think she sent me text on my birthday, said how much she would follow my sister and I and, thought the world of us, and she was just a young kid when she got with my brother, and I thought, that makes total sense now, that she thought, "You just put it in a coffee cup and you can just go around drinking and driving." And she was
Yeah.
young. She was 17, I think. So, then I never did really quit drinking. It just got, more and more and more.
Yeah.
It's kind of alienation with my family, and then I would be the one that be on the phone, talking about my problems or
On
fighting with this
Facebook? Just kidding.
anywhere,
Oh my
and,
god,
like,
it's
2 a.m.
cringy.
Oh, yes.
Facebook posts from, like, years ago, and you're like, "What was I doing?" It's like, "Oh, I can't look at her."
Oh,
Oh,
it just oh, yeah, like I said, all these things, these awful things are popping up in my head just because we're doing this podcast.
yeah.
But reality check is, do I ever wanna go back to those places? No.
Oh, absolutely not. It's
And
not worth it. It's not worth it.
this is one of the worst times in my life, one of them, there's many with alcohol
Yeah.
related. Went to mom's weekend for one of my kids, I think it was Davy, because Davy, Corey, and Jamie all went, and I was doing what they called a keg stand at mom's
Yes.
week with all the other moms, or some of them,
Oh my god.
and one year I fell and broke my kneecap in the snow.
Oh my
Absolutely just, I wish it never happened, and I had forgotten about a lot of these things until this morning when I just started thinking about talking to Jamie today.
oh my
And
god.
we
It's
have
crazy. When you start talking about this or sharing your story, things pop up, and, like, a lot of the things that we used to numb or try to forget about through, like, our drinking, right? And then you're like, "Oh my god." Like, I remember that. Like, when you were talking about drinking beer in a coffee cup in the car, I have memories of us driving and beer cans would, like, roll out from under the seat in your, like, old Datsun or car. Like, and I saw a Datsun yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, I remember the Datsun." And so, like, so things, like, start to pop up, and you're like, "Oh my gosh." But I remember so all your kids, except for one, went to Washington State University, go Cougs, and I went as well, and you were doing beer bongs at a frat party, and I remember that. Yes, yes.
it's so
I re
awful.
yes, and, like, I remember they always would say that, like, the biggest, um, there's a store in town called Dismore's, it's not there anymore, they renamed it, but that would be the biggest, revenue for alcohol of any weekend would be mom's weekend, And this is the gross part, those weekends would be the biggest for condom sales at Dismore's at Washington State University because all these moms and you'd see moms doing the walk of shame the morning after. Could you imagine? Gross. So I'm just
I know.
saying that, but that is insane. Yes.
It's
It's
a
all
little
about
bit better because that never happened, but
oh god. No, I don't even wanna go down that.
about everything else. But I was thinking about that now, and I have, my grandkids. I have 7 grandkids, and I'm thinking, "What in the world was I thinking?"
Well,
But I
it's just
guess
what we
I'm
do,
just
it's fun, all the moms do it, that's what you do. We're there, we're letting loose, drinking with your kids, it's like, and I think a lot of the times you go through high school, as a drinker, but I would obviously never drink with you, that was something I was not allowed to do, but in college, you're like, "Well, I'm old, I'm drinking now, I'm at possibly at age, and now we can do it together, and we're, like, having fun, letting loose together." It's like that kind of, like, I don't know, like, the way you're, like, welcomed into adulthood by your mom is drinking with them, right? Oh,
it's just unbelievable.
I know.
Uh, I remember, um, getting attention from I think it was one of Davey's friends at
Yeah.
the big dad's weekend, our mom's weekend, and they had dad's weekend too, of course, and thinking to myself, "I could understand how that could happen."
Yeah.
Yeah, my son would have never let that happen, and in fact,
Yes.
he was so grossed out about the whole thing. It was like, I don't even know if he remembers it, but it was just like,
Mm.
"Don't talk to my mom."
Trauma.
Don't,
Trauma.
for sure. Um, but I can understand anything goes when just get that drunk, and that's your mission,
Yeah.
and pretty soon, the time goes by, your kids start to resent you for it, just like I resented
Yeah.
my mom. I
Yeah.
mean, I felt it. Jamie could probably talk more about that, but
Yeah.
uh, those are hard things to think about
Yeah.
now that I'm
Yeah.
almost 70 years old,
Mhm.
and it's just kind of shocking, really. The So many things have happened.
Yes.
A keg
Mhm.
stand? Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
And, I
Okay.
was like, was I the cool mom or was the insane mom? Or
You probably thought you were the cool mom. I thought you were the cool mom too, and especially when like alcohol is just like everyday part of our life. And that's how we have confidence. That's how we connect with other people. And it's just always been a part of us and what we do, right? And it's been passed down generations to generation. So it's normal. And the thing is like, we're not the only ones that were doing that. Cause obviously beer sales, it's just what it was all about. And so I think also like one of my goals of the podcast with you is just like normalizing this is just like things that we go through as humans, right? And we're not the only ones that have had these like you're not the only mom doing keg stands at a college party. I'm promising you that. Promising you that for
unfortunately.
sure. But we all have those things too. Like I've been alcohol free for almost 3.5 years now, right? And so I still think of the things that I've done when I was a drinker that like I feel guilty and shamed about. Like just like one thing I'm thinking about is we were in Mexico. We used to go to Mexico a lot. And so Edward, my son, was a baby and we were drinking at this restaurant on the beach called Don Pedro's in Sayulita, our favorite place to go. And Eric Clapton was in the restaurant, and everybody was talking about Eric, but it's a very small beachy town, so we're like, "Okay, he's there." And I saw the back of his head, and he was walking out, and I decided to chase him to try to find him down the street in flip-flops with Edward, my baby, in my arms, wasted. And I lost, like, lots of Eric Clapton. I couldn't find him, and also, fun fact, Eric Clapton has the same birthday as me, so it's always been and my dad, who passed away a few years ago, loved Eric Clapton. And I didn't I'm like, I'm just think about how I could have fallen flat on my face with a baby in my arm. Like, it didn't happen, thank goodness, but I think about that, like, that was so irresponsible. Or there was a time when it was just right before I quit drinking, we went to pick me, Luke, my husband, and Edward, my son, he was 8 now, went to pick up my daughter, Charlotte, I think she was, like, 1 or 2 at the time, at daycare, and we showed up, and she had a rash all over her body. And we're like, "Okay," we tried to take her to urgent care, but we couldn't get in on time. But we had plans to go to the brewery. And so instead, we went to the pharmacy, grabbed some, like, allergy meds, gave it to her in the car, and went straight to the brewery. Never once have given this baby allergy meds before, but we wanted our Thursday brewery beers and nachos, and we went anyway. She ended up being fine, but that's when I started to say, like, "Something's off here." Because, like, if I'm prioritizing having a few beers on a Thursday night versus going home and snuggling my kiddo, who I love more than anything in the world, like, for just alcohol and to get, like, a buzz because I've been working hard and I deserve it, like, there's something off. And so that's, like, something I put in I started to pay attention to. And then so it sounds like, if we're looking back and we're like, "Oh my god, what was I doing?" Like, the keg stands or, prioritizing our drinking needs versus the safety of our kids. It's a scary thing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, my goodness. We have so much to talk about on this, but I know we're going to try to keep our episodes a little on the shorter side. But one of the things we didn't share is Jules is 10 months alcohol free now, right? And she joined my coaching program back in May, and it's been the best thing that's ever happened to both of us, right? Like, so how are
Oh,
you feeling now? Like, and it's brought us closer together. And that's another reason we're here, right? Because we want to show that like this can happen. I feel like when you were drinking a lot, you're leaning into pills a little bit more. I didn't approach you in a loving, kind way. I feel like I didn't really understand what you were going through. And now, since I've got my coaching certifications, I've been alcohol free myself for several years. I feel like things have changed. And also just showing you that there's a different way to heal and to remove alcohol from your life versus like AA or shaming yourself, making yourself feel bad, right? And trying to integrate like healthy lifestyle changes like the 5 daily sparkles I have, like reading, exercising, self-care. So how has that been for you?
well, Jamie's approach is a completely different approach than anything I've ever experienced. I've been to rehab more than once, did the AA thing a few times. It never connected with me. I just it helps so many millions of people, and that's wonderful. But
Yeah.
with Jamie's approach, you didn't have to talk about that. You didn't have to you could even admit if you slipped, and nobody was gonna judge you. It's the most unjudgmental person and community of people, of women that I've ever known. Um, Nothing would surprise them. They're not shocked by anything you say. It's just in the movement part, I'm just getting into that too, and I've never been a structured exercise person. But Jamie would say like 10 minutes, just go walk for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and just start like that. And slowly things started to shift. And I thought to myself, well, I'm just kind of going to join this and be supportive of my daughter. And I didn't have high hopes of what was going to happen with me if I was going to quit drinking or not, or if I would be able to be honest about it with my family or my daughter. And suddenly, I'm not a big sharer, actually, personal information.
Not at
And
all.
how my confidentiality is a huge thing for me. And suddenly, in the middle of the night, I'd start writing, like Jamie's website, and different people would hop on, women, they know how I feel, what I'm going through, or there's just someone there 24/7. If it's not Jamie, it's one of these wonderful women that I've formed friendships with. It has absolutely changed my life. And I can never imagine going back to that life that I used to have. So thank you, Jamie. And I'm so proud of everything you do.
Well, and I'm so glad you're here. And one of the things that you said at the beginning was like you did everything possible to fit in, right? And it was like drinking, trying to be the life of the party, different things like that. And I feel like you're finally fitting in, but you're doing it as yourself. Right? You're, like, coming in, you're being honest, you're, like, this in everything that you say, and you're just feeling like I think you're finally starting to love yourself, which has been huge for me, and I've been, like, seeing that transformation over the last few months, and it's amazing, like, I've never seen you, like, build relationships with, like, women,
Yeah.
especially ones you found online, by the way, like, by the way, who are we? Like, I never thought I would do that, but, like, our community of women is, like, we've met, like, all over the US, and it's been so great, and, like, in different area codes, and we, like, have this one thing in common, it's just, like, alcohol, right? And we all wanna, like, feel good, and we wanna just, like, live our best lives, and I feel like you're doing that, and I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of you. Thank you.
Oh, well, I'm so glad that we're doing this podcast. We have more to come. We're going to continue. We're going to keep talking real talk, right? About me. We're going to go deeper into my story, into Jules' story, maybe have some guests on the show. We'll talk about tips and tricks and what works for us. And we're just going to go from there. But I'm excited to continue to share and hopefully inspire lots of women that that have similar stories, right? Of struggles with alcohol and connection and addiction and families.
Anyway,
Thank you so much for listening to this first episode. We are excited to come back and we'll see you guys next week. Just remember, no matter what happens, drinking is not going to make it better. And wherever you are in your alcohol free journey or your journey in life, you got this and just keep going. And we'll see you next time.